welcome back to another horror movie review. So this week, a little bit different. We're going to be doing a new movie and, of course, a recommendation that came from one of you guys. So stay tuned, sit tight, and let's see if it's one of yours. Guys, if you're subscribed, thank you so much. And if you're not, you'll get on that. Be a part of the fam. Freaking click the notifications button on. That way you won't miss if we go live, to paint anything new or sculpt anything. And, of course, to get first dibs on seeing any new sort of movies that we go ahead and review. So let's get to it. La Fabrique. Ooh, yeah. So this is a really fantastic little movie put out by A24, and it is labeled as a horror comedy. It's so strange. It's one of these strange ones, which I love, right? You basically get started. There's this woman, and she is, working a day-to-day job. She wants to look beautiful, and she keeps getting these advertisements for this what to me is like, I guess like a Macy's or like a Holt Renfrew. It's like a high-end sort of shopping store, and they're like, come shop. And I swear to you guys, there's this feel of Suspiria, like so much, like not just visuals and like the colors they use and the movements, but this sort of like witch vibe you get from it. So like they lure people in and they're like, come buy our pretty stuff. And so anyway, she goes by and she finds this beautiful dress. Yes, this beautiful red dress. And she's like, I need to buy this. And she gets to like, puts it on. She feels really good in it. And like the woman who's selling her is very much like, this is for you, Anyways, she purchases it and she sees it like in the magazine. She's like, oh, like that model who was wearing it. Like, I thought this was a one and only piece. She's like, yeah, it's a one and only piece. And she's like, well, what happened to the model wearing it? And she's like, she died. You're kind of like, oh, okay. So she brings the dress home, wears it a couple times. Weird shit starts happening. We're talking people are more attracted to her, as well as her freaking washing machine going bananas and almost eating her up. There's these crazy moments that you're just like, what is even happening? Anyways, at the same time, you're kind of introduced to her life. She lives with her son. Her son's trying to date this woman and she doesn't like her. There's all this like vibe in between. Anyways, but it's all about these witches that put these hexes on this dress and like their material stuff and just get off on it. It is so weird and intriguing. And I mean, I'm always intrigued by mannequins and things I always find them eerie in film. And there's a lot of that imagery that goes on. And there's also like side stories. So it's not just this lady who owns the dress. It's also another lady who ends up owning the dress with this husband who is just so monotone and fixes washer dryers for a living. It's kind of like this full circle thing. Anyways, you have to see it to understand it. And I would say this isn't like an ooga booga scary horror movie at all. Okay. This is not like disturbing. This is like an eyegasm. You know what I mean? Like it's beautiful on the eyes. And it's just a very interesting movie. And I guess it's witches. Like I'm convinced they're not aliens. I don't think they're aliens. They're not aliens. It's gotta be witches. Yeah. It's you gotta see it. Anyways, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. And now, secondly, for your recommendation of the week. So this was a horror movie recommendation from Derek Pennycuff from YouTube. So thank you so much for recommending the film, The Vourdalak. Yeah, I had no idea what this was. I had no idea what it was going into it or nothing. And I ended up finding this movie. And it is, I forget, I think it's all in French. I think it's a French film, pretty sure. And it's basically like a period piece about this dude who's like an elite who is trying to travel and shit goes down. He needs to stay at these people's home overnight. And apparently this is what people did back in the olden days. You just stop in someone's house. You're like, yo, I need to rest. And especially if they're like elite, you got to let them in. I feel like that wouldn't fly now. I feel like people would be like, get off my property. There's such a sense of community back in the olden days. Just a lot of disease, I guess, and people dying young. Anyways, point is, they let this guy in, and they are, they seem to be just like a different family. Good looking daughter. He's already like semi-attracted to her. Like everything she's wearing is like bejeweled and different. You have like the brother, a sister, and they're all like, oh, like is dad gonna come back? Blah, blah, blah. This movie turns into this whole, like, their father is almost like a curse. This crazy curse dude who is basically dead already. Yeah, he is this giant claymation slash stop motion creature. Um, and boy, is he angry. Anyways, this movie was so interesting in the sense that they mashed regular filmmaking with this sort of stop motion dude as like a character, and it worked. It worked really well. I was heavily into this film the whole time, and it was kind of like you knew that, you know, this elite man who came out of nowhere from like France is like shitting bricks because weird shit's going on here, where he just freaking came in and he kind of wants to save the girl and bring her somewhere normal. But it's like, sometimes there is no normal. This is just what life can be, you know? It's kind of like that crazy-esque to it. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, thank you so much for pushing me to watch this movie. I also think Tony Kanoka, I think you dropped that as well to watch recently. Anyways, this was a really interesting film. And both of them, so La Fabrique and The Vourdalak, both strange horror-esque movies that were just so aesthetically well done and just different. Yeah, so if you guys are feeling different, different, yeah, different. Remember that song? Yeah, I don't know. Is that relevant still? Anyways, go see it. Go see both. Let me know your thoughts. I am so interested in hearing what you guys thought of either of them because I was pretty impressed. I won't lie. Pretty impressed by both. All right, you guys have a wicked rest of your week and we'll be seeing you soon. And get ready. It's going to be another dark one. All right, bye.